We are going live. Exactly, we are live. So today I'm going to address very important matters. I'm going to start with the case studies as of today. I hope that you have been enjoying the investment process in Deere. Meanwhile, the company, the share price, the market cap of Deere more than doubled since we upgraded to strong buy. And by the way, there is a video, or there are several, on YouTube, on Vimeo, on Facebook, addressing the importance of investing in Deere on a long-term basis. There are several articles on the blog of the company explaining and urging investors to buy an important amount of this great American company, Deere. Deere has been one of the companies, well, where Wall Street has been wrong all the time. The proof of it is the fact that as of today, the share price is trading well above the estimate of any of all these Wall Street analysts. And by the way, when the share price or Deere, the stock, was upgraded here to strong buy, and I remind you that you have the articles on the blog of the company, reiterations, continuous strong buy ratings. At that time, Wall Street remained bearish Deere. None of them projected that Deere could reach, as of today, $145 plus. That was not the case with us. On the contrary, you probably remember the fact that last earnings Deere missed, and again, for that simple reason, as always, Wall Street downgrades on weakness after the fact. It was rather important to have earnings miss the last quarter to test the resilience of the long-term trend in Deere, but one quarter did not change a long-term trend or investment process. On the contrary. So last quarter we didn't downgrade Deere to neutral or to sell or to strong sell. You didn't hear from us downgrading Deere. On the contrary, we reiterated the strong buy, but more important than just to reiterate the strong buy, we went a step further and we recommended to quadruple the investment position in Deere. Also, as of today, on the same video that you have on YouTube, we addressed a very important case study, the inverse situation of Deere. I'm referring to this company, GameStop. GameStop was, a couple of years ago, a company where everyone had outperformed or overweight ratings. The fact is that we had a strong sell rating, and GameStop, it was what we call a short thing, or 100% certainty that the share price was going down or to collapse. And we were so certain about it that obviously the best investment process at that time, there was a service called Live Markets Platinum, and GameSpot, the forecast and the charts and so on, they were shared precisely with these subscribers. So they are the best testimonials or reviews with regards to the fact that we recommended to sell short GameStop. Having said this, today GameStop announced earnings in the morning, and the share price was up 10% plus. Again, as in the case of Deere, one quarter does not change anything. On the contrary, despite the fact that there was a gap to the upside, we reiterated strong sell in GameStop, and by the end of the day, you had the share price closing around 3%. That is to say, intraday, the share price lost more, around 10%. Okay, so like I said, the opposite scenario of Deere. Okay, this is rather important because most people, they get confused with regards to the long-term investment process, and the value is precisely the long-term, the vision. I'm not referring to the fact that there is an oracle in the United States who says that Bitcoin is a mirage, is going down to zero, worthless, and then Bitcoin is, as of today, trading well above 8,000 US dollars. And by the way, I hope that you have been following our investment process, which is complementary throughout the years in Bitcoins. So this kind of forecast or visions, people that they claim to know the future, or that the price of a stock cannot be predictable, well, that is up to them. They appear on TV, they make these announcements, they look to make money out of conference calls or whatever. That is entirely their concern. It is not certainly ours. Ours is to help the investor, the subscriber, to achieve the maximum return on investment in the markets and proving it. And so we have been doing precisely that, not only in stocks as well as ETFs, oil, gold, the forex market, cryptocurrencies, and so on. Now that we have referred to Deere and GameStop, by the way, you have the chart and the article on the blog of the company. GameStop was downgraded to strong sell at a price of $46. As of today, the share price, it is worth $17.30. Okay, it is not 25, 26, 50 or 70. No, it is $17.30. Okay, so there is a huge difference between making an accurate forecast and someone who says, you know, Bitcoin, it is useless, worthless. I'm an investor in drugs, tobacco, you know, Wells Fargo. I know what I'm talking about. And then Bitcoin goes up to 8,000 US dollars, and he continues saying the same. Okay, there is a huge difference between someone who has credibility before institutions and someone who has credibility before the crowd, who appears on TV just, you know, to make out money out of conference calls, which is useless. We don't have time for that. We are going to continue precisely with this subject of investing long-term in Amazon. As of today, you had new all-time highs in Amazon, strong by rating here since $77. Well, I believe, quite frankly, more than 100 articles dedicated to Amazon itself, one of the most important companies in the world. And I strongly recommend to investors to read the article, the interview on CNBC, I believe. Quite frankly, I didn't listen to, I don't have time, I'm being honest with you. But I know that there is an interview, an article on CNBC with regards to the sheer incompetence of Warren Buffett. He admits his stupidity for the simple fact that he never bought one single share of Amazon. Well, although it is interesting to be honest before the crowd once in a while, quite frankly, because I believe that he had also to explain what the fuck he has been doing in Wells Fargo, or the story, well, as well as, even worse, the case of General Electric. But by the way, the case of General Electric, probably you are going to see an article saying Warren Buffett is a very good investor because he sold his position ahead of the problems. Well, my friends, I would study on the web the concept of insider trading, okay? Which in my country it is illegal, but in the United States might be different, okay? It's a good question how someone could know about, the problems in General Electric ahead of the public information. It's a good question, but quite frankly, no one is making the right questions. Everyone is talking about what does not really matter. Probably that is one of the reasons why they miss a long-term investment process in Amazon, in Bitcoins, Netflix, Nvidia, Intuitive Surgical, Boeing, well, and probably one more 100 companies which we refer here on a long-term basis. Also, I'm going to refer, and today you had also a screenshot live on Twitter with Amazon trading at $1,160, which does not constitute a surprise. If you have companies in the market with price to earnings 10,000, as of the case of Tesla, which, by the way, an American analyst upgraded precisely at the top when we were in fact telling you to downgrade and to sell everything and to go short at a price of $389, which it is so far the top in Tesla. That company, Tesla, price to earnings 10,000. So a company as Amazon does not appear so expensive. Okay? So quite frankly, the real question that one should make before, for example, this oracle of the United States will be, well, if you consider yourself stupid for not buying one single share of Amazon, and that interview is from, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, May of 2017, why didn't you buy Amazon since then? That is the right question to make. But they didn't make the question because it does not have an answer, as well as it does not have an answer to the fact that Bitcoin, as of today, it is worth or trading at the pair Bitcoin US dollar $8,300, which is amazing for someone who is used to invest in McDonald's, in burgers, in drugs, in tobacco. Obviously it is amazing, but it also should be amazing the fact that there are companies in the United States in the markets with price to earnings 10,000, 5,000, retail companies and so on, okay? So I don't see any surprise, quite frankly. I see currency, which is a completely different matter. And all these guys, including this crock American with PhD and a Nobel Prize, I'm referring to Robert Shiller, and 2 years ago you had an article on the website of the company referring to this American crock, precisely Robert Shiller, an economist, claiming that the markets, they were overvalued at that time, saying that the markets were going to correct 10%. Well, the right question again to make is, why, Mr. Robert Shiller, the markets are going to correct 10%? Why not 12 or 13 or 15 or 17 and a half? Why 10%? Do you have a magic formula? But these American stupid idiots, because that is what Einstein said 1 century ago and proven thousands of times, they don't make the right question, so the individual does not have to answer. Okay? So they miss every single year the rally, and they continue saying the same. Anyway, we are going to move forward because I'm not going to be here a long time. I'm in a cave, by the way. And by the way, you have other video, and it's a recent one, a couple of months ago, with an interview on CNBC by a billionaire. He entitles himself, I'm a billionaire, therefore I also a billionaire, But there is a difference, okay? That this guy, which in fact, the guy, who in fact is a fraud, he said, we are in a bubble. So I went on the web, on YouTube, and I said, we are not in a fucking bubble. So the stocks, they are going to move higher, my friend. Buy more when these crocs, they appear there, you know, on CNBC, claiming to be billionaires. There are many billionaires in the world, by far more than you imagine, and by far more, and people with lots of money, you know. It's not Mr. Buffett, my friends. What you have on those lists, on Forbes and so on, it is what is public, because what is not public, there is a lot of information, okay? There is other world outside, okay? So anyway, this to say that you hand all the information in advance, okay? The correct information to invest in the markets against the useless opinion of these crocs that they continuously appear on the web, on the TV, you know, on the press. They buy articles, they buy followers on Twitter, you know, they buy followers. It is practice, common practice in the US to have all these kind of scam tactics. We are going to refer also to the fact that you can attend these live streaming sessions on the website, on live stream, on Facebook. Periscope, quite frankly, I don't recommend because the quality is rather low. So you also have it on YouTube. And there are important features if you are interested to. One of them is the fact that you can make questions, and I will address those questions as you if you are interested in. So you know, there is a web page on the website, and that page contains the features of this free complementary service for your own benefit if you are interested, okay? Because quite frankly, I don't make money out of this. It is not of my particular interest. And finally, I'm going to refer, because most, for example, they will start precisely with this topic, that is Black Friday, and I'm going to leave it precisely as the last subject, since I'm not here to sell anything. And I'm going to refer to it just because we already sold several packages Black Friday, and I'm going to tell you what it is included in that package for your information. So the markets right now, as you have them, they are rather complex. Okay? You should not have a portfolio entirely focused on the long side or on the short side. You have to have opportunities or potential opportunities on the long side as well as on the short side. Because the fact is that as it is of today, the market is not the same market as it was a couple of months ago when these guys, they appeared saying you are going to see a crash, okay? So we are approaching the end of the year 2017, we are going to enter 2018, and this is going to be, you know, complex, okay? By far more complex than most people imagine, including professionals, and so we are going to have problems, and I guarantee that professionals, they are going to have a lot of problems if they don't follow the instructions, the indications, okay? So, the Black Friday deal, it is a very important one because it contains, or the idea behind the deal is to offer to one access to artificial intelligence 101 instead of 1 year, 6 months, therefore making the package at a better price in a certain sense, or considerable in fact, but with a very high value. And the very high value is that it contains then a portfolio constituted of long positions as well as short positions. It will contain also instructions, since for example, as of today, one stock we might not be interested to sell short heavily, but for example, if the stock continues moving higher, we might be interested to assume a large position, okay? So these things, they will be explained, including price targets for most of these stocks, and therefore the service in the end will not be just, you know, basically for 6 months. You probably can utilize it for a long period of time, okay? Also, you're going to receive trade alerts, artificial intelligence level 3. Okay? There is a huge difference between level 1 and level 3. You have comparisons on the website with regards to this matter. For example, the case of Hertz, the recent one, 100% accuracy, obviously, on the long side, on the short side, against everyone else, and bear in mind that everyone was wrong about Hertz. So what we do it live, we demonstrate it live, okay, and we explain why we are doing it. We also explain to investors the process, okay. No one else does it, okay. You never, for example, in 50 years, never seen anyone, including Mr. Warren Buffett, explaining anything live, okay. Does not explain anything, okay. To buy Coke or to invest in Coke 50 years ago, my friends, everyone today could be a billionaire. It's not difficult if you had the money 50 years ago, okay? It's rather simple, as I explained also in the case of Chipotle, okay? All the way up to $720 and then downgrading to strong sell, saying that Chipotle was going to crash and it melted, okay? So you have all these calls live on the blog of the company, unlike these guys that they never told you anything. So this is the value. Moreover, you also have access to all the features discovered on the website, which I'm not going here to describe, since you have the website for some reason. As an example, access to the course. The course continues, okay? It evolves, and so on. And so this is what I wanted to say. I hope that I have been helpful. And, well, since there are not questions, or people also, for example, today, friends, we don't send emails saying, you know, we are going to have a session live streaming, okay? These sessions live streaming, they are complimentary, they are on the website. If you are interested, you visit website, you are attentive, okay? Because we are not going to have here human resources dedicated as other companies to sell stuff. No, now let's go into send an email. For example, we never sent, or we have not sent anyone email so far with regards to the Black Friday deal, okay? If you are interested in, you visit the website, how to subscribe. You make a phone call in 10 minutes. For example, today several people, they subscribed to the pack as registered users to the autonomous trading app. It is solved in less than 5 minutes, okay? It is rather simple. It's not necessary to place an order online. Nothing. You have the app, you log into the app, you have support, please help me, the person it is there to help you, and I guarantee to you that in less than 5 minutes the case is solved, okay? There is no complications, no support tickets, no phone calls, absolutely nothing, okay? This is the value of having access, for example, one of the features among probably 100 to the autonomous trading app. Well, and with this I terminate. Thank you and good luck. I'm going to leave you here. I hope to see you then tomorrow or some other day.